What's up, y'all? Shalom. Welcome back to Real TV. Michael Israel here. Tonight's show is called Give to the Poor. Today, I was out in the city, and I had a lump sum of money that I put to the side that I wanted to give. And before I left, I prayed to the Most High, and I asked Him to give me guidance on where to go, or if He could put someone poor on my path that I could give the money to. And along the way, I sung a little hymn, just a song that was in my heart. And I remember walking on the sidewalk, and I had in my mind for weeks that I wanted to go to this bridge in the city, because this is a popular area where a lot of poor people seem to be. They live at the very top, at like the crevice or the angle of the bridge, if you will. And I was maybe 4 or 5 blocks away from this bridge, and lo and behold, I saw this, what it looks to be a poor man, sitting against the column of the bridge. And I started to get very happy. I was smiling, and I was like, thank you, Yah, thank you, Yahweh, for this. And it was a blessing. I was very happy. I was just, because sometimes we try to use our best judgment because maybe we've been gypped before, or maybe we've given to someone who asked for money and they weren't really poor. They were just trying to play you. I'm gonna continue with the story, but I want to give you a few other stories that of my own that could have driven me in the path to not give to the poor. There was one time where I was getting groceries a few years back, and I went to the local grocery, and I had about, maybe $20 or $30 worth of groceries. And I ended up getting gas before I was going home. It was late at night. It was like after 12 or 1 a.m. at night. And at the gas station, I saw what it seemed to be a poor person sitting down. And I remember giving them a ride because they said, they mentioned that they needed to get to a portion of the town. I was going the same way, even if I wasn't, I offered them a ride because I saw them sitting there. Give them a ride. When I dropped them off to this neighborhood, it mention a certain house or anything. They just wanted to be dropped off on this part of the town. Dropped them off. You know, I gave them a bag of my groceries. And when I get home, I noticed that my cell phone was stolen. There was another time where I was on my way to work, and it was in the afternoon, many years ago. And I had like maybe 15 minutes before I had to be to work. And I saw this elder lady, who said that she was hungry. And she said that she wanted some money for food. So I did what some of you may have done before. I said, well, if you're hungry, I'll buy you some food. And we were on the very corner of Panero Bread. And she said that she didn't want Panero Bread. So in my mind, I was immediately shocked. But I didn't say anything. I was thinking like, okay, I said, well, okay, that's fine. What would you like to eat? We can get whatever you want. So right across the street at the time, she said that she wanted Blimpie sub. So we walked across the street, and as soon as we got in the middle of the street, like we dang near almost touched the sidewalk of this Blimpie sub restaurant. And as soon as we were in the middle of the street, she said, no, never mind, that's okay, I don't want nothing. And she walked away and left me in the middle of the street. There's another time where there's this gentleman who always seemed to be in, not the best clothing, and he didn't smell the best. And as a little kid, I would always see him on the bus. And when I got into my adult life, I used to see him on the same city bus. And he would always ask people for money. So one day I gave him money thinking that his situation was worse than mine, which it could have been, and it probably could be to this day. But maybe a couple of months down the line, I seen him walking in my neighborhood counting an entire wad of money. An entire wad of money, hundreds and twenties. In the same, bummy style clothing. Another time on the city bus, I saw him pull out another wad of money in his sock. I'm not saying that he's not poor. Maybe he's saving the money, but it was just an odd look. I had another situation where there's a gentleman in my local city, and he sits in a certain part of the city, whether it's by a Starbucks or by a local park, where a lot of people will drive by, walk by. And he will always be out there on Fridays and Saturdays and regular weekdays. And he doesn't have any legs. And he has a full beard. He has dreads. He has tons of grocery bags and cans on his wheelchair. And he never asks anyone for money. So I don't fault him for pretending to be poor in an aspect, kind of. But just here to break down of this story. He never asked for money, but it seems as if he's pretending to be poor, and people give him money around the clock. He always says hi. He's very respectful. He says good morning, good afternoon whenever you're walking by him. And then one day, when I was going to this place called Baldino's, another sub place, right? I must love subs. I was going to this one place called Baldino's years ago. And right across from this Baldino's was a Wells Fargo bank. Well, I saw the same guy that was sitting by this Starbucks all the time. The same guy that was always in this park. The one in the wheelchair with no legs that pretended to be poor. Or one would assume that he's a poor. I seen him get out this Beautiful. Bright red F-150 without a scratch on it. Nice. Nice. Decked out. Rims clean. And he helped himself out of the car, got his wheelchair, and he rolled himself into the bank. And I was thinking to myself, I am completely shocked. I was in complete shock to see that he had a vehicle, a brand new, I think it was 2015 at the time, 2015, 2016 F-150, bright red. Now, you know, to have a red vehicle, it's a little bit extra on your insurance as it is. But he was going into the bank to do what, who knows what. And he had a car. The same gentleman that was in the square. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't give to poor people. And I'm not saying that everyone in less fortunate clothing are pretending to be poor. But what I am saying, it is good to use discernment. And throughout those few stories that I've just mentioned to you, which there are many, many more that I can say, but for the sake of time, to get to the meat of the conversation, it's good to pray and use discernment and to be wise about who you're giving to. So as I was on the sidewalk today, I saw this guy, and he was sitting down at the pillar of the bottom of the bridge, and it had just rained today, and it was a little after maybe 7 p.m. or so, and it was an older gentleman. It was a black guy. He was either between late 60s and 70s. I mean, he looked older, but he looked young. And when I first saw him, I was very happy. I was very happy to see him, and I was happy to give a little something to him that I was saving for a couple of days to give to the right person. And the closer I got a little frightened. Not frightened of him, but just frightened of that I may encounter an angel. Or what if I encountered an angel? You know, I want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. I want to walk the right way, you know what I mean? So I wasn't afraid, because the scripture says, be afraid of no man. I'm not afraid of no man, no thing, no person. I'm only afraid of Yahweh, the Most High. Should be afraid of the Most High, the one who has control of our soul. So that's who I'm afraid of, the Creator. But I'm not afraid of anyone, anything, any situation. But I was only frightened, or you know what I mean? I wasn't afraid of the man. I was just cautious and just a little heart racy about the situation I was about to be in. So I get close to him, and he has a full beard that looked like he never shaved in years. And he had an afro that was kept. It wasn't combed, but it was kept. That's the best way that I can say it. And it was white. It was white. It was like salt, pepper white. It was mostly white. It was mostly white, but it had a little hint of gray. But it was the whitest beard and fro. And he had on poor man's clothing. And he had his shoes off. And the shoes next to him was a brown pair of dress shoes. And he had the socks tucked into him. And he was sitting on this pillow, this dirty pillow, and this dirty white comforter that he was sitting on against the pillar of the base of the bridge. And his teeth were whiter than a brand new candle. His teeth were just white. I was thinking to myself, like, man, you know, he's poor, he looks poor, but you know, his teeth is well kept. They were straight. It wasn't like no dentures or nothing. You could see the discrepancies of, you know, just like the natural form of the teeth. But it was just like so perfect, just white teeth, and his eyes were like a dark brown hazel with like a slight yellowish pearl white tint to it. And I didn't know what to say. But before, I asked the Most High to bless me with the countenance, give me the words to say. And the first thing I asked him was is he poor? And when he spoke as if he was drunk, but he wasn't drunk. He didn't smell like alcohol. He didn't smell like urine or anything bad. It was just a neutral smell. And I know that he wasn't drunk. He wasn't tipsy or anything. But he spoke as if the best way that I can describe his speech was as if when I first heard him speak, I thought that he was drunk, but I knew that he wasn't drunk or tipsy. He spoke as if he had a speech impediment, as if he was deaf before, and he was and he had just learned to speak. It was the most oddest thing. And so I asked him if he was poor. He said, yeah. And I told him that I admired his beard and his afro, and that one day I wanted to have one just like his. And I told him, or I attempted to tell him about the story of the meaning of hair, but I never got to it. He ended up telling me that he had hair like mine once, that his face was shaven before once, and I could barely make out what he was saying. I could try to portray to you the voice that he spoke with, but I can't. It's just basically as if someone was mute, as if a muted person was speaking almost. That's the best way I can describe his speech. And I could barely make out the things that he was saying to me because of the traffic and because how he was speaking. And the whole time, I could just, not knowing what he was saying, I could just shake my head like, yeah, like, yes, sir, and okay, and I smile, we both smiled, and I asked him if he had any family, and he told me that he had family everywhere, that he had family all over. And I asked him, I could barely remember everything that we spoke about because the whole countenance of him was just different. I'm born and raised in this city, and I've never seen this man ever in my life. I've never crossed paths with him ever in my life. And I went this particular way under this bridge several times. Several times. And I've never seen him ever before. And I prayed before I went. And lo and behold, this man was sitting there at the bottom of this bridge. And I've walked there many times throughout the weeks, many times throughout the years. And I've never seen him there or walking, period. And the most disturbing part to me was that I gave him this money and I counted out, I panned it out. And I was so happy to give it to him. And I told him that I apologized for the wait because I had it for 3 days, but I was waiting to give it to the right person. And then I prayed to Yahweh, and I gave him a little insight, whether he knew it or if he didn't. I wanted to leave him with a little jewel or whatever. I told him the quick meaning of Yahweh in Hebrew, how it was the name of God in Hebrew. And I told him how we're Hebrews, and he said, yeah, we're Hebrew, I'm Hebrew. And I was like, yeah, brother. I said, we Hebrews. Yeah. We were smiling, and his teeth was so white. Like, for a poor man, I couldn't believe his teeth was whiter than mine. Whiter than a new pair of K-Swiss or Nikes, or just white. Whiter than a new porcelain plate. It was a sight to see. But the strangest part was when I gave him the money. And I thought it was enough, even though it was enough. It was the fact that the money that I gave him was as if I gave him a sheet of paper, a sheet of blank paper in his hand. He looked at it as if it had no value. He looked at it as if, not even like, yeah, thanks. He held it in his hand and looked at it as almost as if it was an a UFO object. And he put it either in his pocket or under his leg, I don't know. I could barely remember that extreme detail, but I knew for sure that this money he didn't care about. What he cared about was that I was there. And then what shook me up inside was this. And I know better. I'm human. I'm human. So I'll just say it is what it is. And I'm working on these things, and I'm throwing out these things. And I will be getting rid of these things. But we as human beings, we fall victim to certain materialism of this world. Whether it be an iPhone 8, the latest gadget, the latest television system, the newest computer, the latest fashion, whether it be New Balance, Nikes, Reeboks, whatever fashion may be, whether you wear Polo, a Lacoste, or you like Louis Vuitton purses, Prada shoes, Chanel frames, Fendi visors, whatever it may be, we are human beings and we fall victim to things that our eyes go for, things that we use to cover up what's inside, to hide our self-consciousness. Well, what struck me and what made me feel convicted was that I was wearing a Versace shirt and a Lacoste hat. And he looked at my shirt as if it was foreign, as if it was a false god, as if it was something that I shouldn't have been wearing. And I felt so convicted inside. He didn't even say anything, but he looked at my shirt so oddly for about 10 seconds, looking back and forth from my shirt to my eyes, from my shirt to my eyes. And deep down inside, I knew that I was wrong and I wanted to rip my shirt off. But I didn't have no other shirt underneath. I wanted to rip it off, burn it, throw it in the trash. And I ended up telling me something that I couldn't even make out. The traffic was going by under this bridge near this highway, and I couldn't make out what he was saying. And all I could do was smile and say yes, sir, and oh, okay, and oh, all right. And I ended up saying Yahweh bless you, and ended up having a great day. Yahweh bless you. And as I was walking, I looked underneath the bridge. I tried to look upon that crevice and see if anyone was sleeping under that time, because it just rained. I wanted to see if it was other people up there. And I looked across and no one was there. But as I looked across the road, there was a man that was carrying a buggy. He was pushing a buggy, a black man. Another black man. And he looked as if he was in his late 60s or 70s. And I thought as if he was coming across the street to speak to this other man, you know. And I kind of stared at him walking, you know, as I'm walking by. And I'm looking at him. And I'm saying, you know, hey, brother, excuse me, sir. You know, I'm yelling across the road, hey, brother, hey, bro, excuse me, sir. Sir, excuse me. You know, I'm yelling, the traffic's going by. You know, he's so focused on his buggy. And the buggy is full of, the grocery cart is full of black trash bags, cans. The guy literally has a portion of the median. It looks as if he had a portion of the median that was from the division of a highway. Almost like a 5-foot portion of the median that was in the grocery cart. He had a portion of a broken rim that was on a car that fell on the road that he was trying to get off of the ground. And all these cans and all these bags. And his clothes weren't the best. I mean, layers of different clothing. He had a beard that was fully grown. And he almost had a haircut like as if it was Dr. Phil's. But it was bald on the top. But the size of the fro was so just fro-y. You know what I mean? And what spooked me, what made my heart race a little bit, what made me think was, am I talking to a human being or an angel? I asked the man if he needed a hand because he was pushing his grocery cart and he was trying to pick this rim off of the ground. I ran across the street and I asked him if he needed a hand. I was happy. And I was thinking like, man, I just gave this money to this guy across the street. I need to give him something too. I need to give this man something. I'd be wrong if I just walk by and I just, I see this man with the buggy, pushing buggies, and I don't offer him assistance. I don't give him a hand. I don't give him something. So I asked him if he needs a hand. And he looks at me and he says, yes. And he picks up the rim and he puts it in his buggy. As he says yes, and I look into his eyes, my heart started racing fast. My heart raced so fast that I didn't know what was going on. I looked into his eyes. One eye was dark brown, like hazel. But the other eye was an eye color I've never seen before that made my heart race so fast. His right eye was the color his right eye was like the color of a orange leaf in the fall. His right eye was the color of orange. His right eye was golden, literally golden. I first thought that he had a glass eye, or he had some type of glass eye, but it wasn't a glass eye. It was his real eye. His real eye was golden, like the color of gold, like a goldish bronze, copperish, not even bronze, like a copperish, shiny, bright, almost as if it was like a light in his eye. I'm not talking about I'm talking about a shiny, copperish, like a new penny. His eye was like a new penny, like a 2018 penny. And I was so shocked. My heart raced so fast that I didn't even help him push the buggy across the puddle. It was cars coming and they was honking the horn. And I said, Yahweh bless you, brother. Yah bless you, brother. And I had to look away. I couldn't look in his eyes no more. I could stand to look at him. I couldn't stand to look at him no more. I mean, I saw, you know what I mean? So I crossed the street. I let the cars go by. And as I continued to cross the street, I said, thank you. I mean, Yahweh bless you, brother. Yah bless you, brother. And I continued to walk. And as I walk and I look back at that pillar where the first man that I spoke with, I look at the pillar of the first man that I spoke with, and his shoes were there. The pillow was there. The dirty comforter was there, but the man was gone. The man that I spoke to initially was gone. And my heart was racing. My heart dropped. I couldn't believe what I saw. The man was gone. And I'm overwhelmed with all these emotions. Who did I speak with? Was this an angel? Where did the man go? I was so shocked that I started walking a little fast, thinking what's going on? The other man across the street has this golden looking eye. I didn't help him push his buggy. I didn't invite him over to my place to come and get something to eat. I didn't invite him, to my place to come and take a shower, to wash up, to maybe spend a night. What the scripture tells us that we have to be hospitable. It tells us that we should take in the poor people and let them eat with us at our table. And I thought about that, like what I gave wasn't enough. It's more than money. I should have gave my time. I should have spoke a little bit more. I should have had a conversation with them a little bit more. And it dawned on me that when you give a real poor man money, even when you give them money, it's not enough. When you give them money, it's not enough. Because that same poor man that you gave a couple of chump change to, it's going to diminish. Why not give them something that will last for a lifetime? Give them some conversation. Let them into your house and let them wash up. Let them clean up. Maybe let them spend the night. And I was thinking to myself, like, dang, man, I wish I had better living circumstances. I stay in an affluent condominium area, and it's a 1-bedroom. And I was thinking, like, man, I just wish, like in my mindset, like I had an extra room where they could stay. You know, you know what I mean? That I wish that I can do more. Even though they could sleep on the couch, it's not enough. It's not enough. So I challenge you to give to the poor. That's the subject of the night. Give to the poor. Scripture tells us that we'll entertain angels and we may not even know it. Give to the poor.